Adrienne Southworth is running to be the 7th District's next state senator. Previously the Deputy Chief of Staff for Lieutenant Governor Janine Hampton and leader of the watchdog organization Take Back Kentucky, Adrienne's combination of experience and skill is known to unwind the labyrinth of state government for the benefit of many, not just the few. She is the proven problem solver we can trust to represent our views, listen to our needs, and despite the challenges we face, always find the best solutions.
Hello, I'm Adrienne Southworth, running to be your next senator in the 7th District. Remember to share this channel with all your friends in Anderson, Franklin, Gallatin, Owen, or Woodford County. Thanks so much for being here, Jim, and talking about these issues that people care about.
Thank you. Something that I think is interesting about your experience is you have spent time both with the legislature and with the executive branch. And so you have seen how they work back and forth, and from my perspective, and I think a lot of people's perspective, they have seen legislation come through, and when it gets introduced, it's one thing, but by the time it's ready to be passed, it's something completely different.
Yes.
And how does that happen?
Well, it can happen a lot of ways. Sometimes you just get in the wrong spot at the right time, but a lot of times a bill will start out and it's more or less of an idea. It's really not well written. It's really not well structured. There are so many times when you'll have a bill actually say, we're going to let the agencies figure out what we're supposed to be doing later. And having a placeholder like that, those kind of blank checks, in regular life, you don't usually want to hand out blank checks. You don't really know what you're going to get when you do that. But you're talking about on the front end, even with the legislature, you know, any given year you'll have 500 different topics come up. Most people can't even keep up with that much. But then when you think about all the versions of those topics, where at the beginning of the session it could be maybe once or twice a week there's changes made to some bills. And toward the end of the session it's multiple times a day. Stuff's flying like fire hose level speed. But then even after the bill gets passed, the final version, if we know what's in it, then the agency a lot of times will interpret it or make those regulations or their internal policies. In fact, we really had no idea that this kind of a bill was going to end up looking like this at the end of the day.
Something recently, we had a budget come through where it came through the governor's office and the legislature received it and had no idea what was in there. So can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, I think you're looking at a communication situation where there's nothing that says you have to talk to each other, but general decorum is everybody wants to try to talk to each other. We only have a limited time to get a budget together. It's a huge task. And this, I think, highlights, if not anything else, the reason why we have to have somebody with that experience from the executive branch perspective, from the people's perspective, understanding the legislators' process, because the legislators can only go off of what they're told. If they don't know the full inside of how that executive branch was working or supposed to work, wherever, where do they even go to ask the right questions? You know, so that's what I really want to do.
And how much time do they have to deal with that once they get something like that? Once they see the budget, how much time do they have to try and figure it out?
Well, that's just right. And so they'll be always talking about, you know, in discussions and stuff about things. But be honest, I mean, it took me several years of working full time in the executive branch just to get around even to visit one time each agency. And, you know, not that I had other things I was doing as well, but I mean, legislators are part-time, for crying out loud. So the amount of knowledge base that they have, I feel like, is not as much as we'd like it to be, but at the same time, I like that they represent the people, truly represent the people. They're not full-time government employees that are just sitting in Frankfurt, you know? So
I agree.
Yes, so we want to kind of keep it like that, but at the same time, having some of that expertise is so critical, so critical.
So from my perspective, getting elected to public office is a bit like trying to navigate. If you have a good GPS or good map, it really helps.
Absolutely. The knowledge base that can provide, and then experience in working with it. Experience really matters here. So I'm asking you to vote for Adrienne Southworth as your next senator. And share this video and stay tuned for updates.
Share this video with your friends in Anderson, Franklin, Gallatin, Owen, and Woodford counties. And please vote for Adrienne Southworth.